Hey guys, I'm in Portugal, but I hear that there are a few people freaking out with the Star Spangled Banner lyrics. So, let's do a quick Wrestly session. And I'm sorry for this being so late. I'm on holiday, and I kind of figured you guys had got it, but I was wrong. So, this is a quick rundown of what I've got for remembering the Star Spangled Banner. Okay, and then there's a can. Like a tin, can you see? I just thought the letters were all kind of easy to remember here together. So the actual song is, oh, say, can you see? So, oh, say isn't as easy to remember as okay. So I've got, oh, okay, can you see? And then the next letter you can see here, still in green, to make it all kind of hang together, is a D. And that D is in a light bulb. And normally a light bulb is drawn with a... Where's my pen? Normally a light bulb looks... looks nothing like that. Hang on. Looks a little more like this with sort of a Y shape inside. But this one has a D shape inside, and that's to remind you that it is a Donzerly light. Word about pronunciation. It is not the Donzerly light, because it's not a British anthem. It is the dawn. Dawn, not dawn. Dawn. And Americans tend to pronounce Donzerly as if it's one word. Donzerly. What kind of light is it? Donzerly. So we have, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? And that is a dawn's early light. And then we have a fatso. Americans may remind you of that. Oh, I'm going to change keys because that was too low. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? Fatso, what so? Fatso proudly we hailed. So this is some we that says proudly. And it's kind of turning into hail. What's Fatso proudly we hailed? And it becomes an email address. At the twilight's last gleaming. Now I kind of put that into a box, like a subject field in an email, where you'd have a email address would be at rectangle. And that helps. I've used a lot of rectangles to tie the shapes together visually. So we start off kind of going across and then down. And we start with a series of rectangles. So at the twilight's last gleaming. And then I had a note from one choir member saying it's really hard to remember broad stripes and bright stars because you hear about the stars and stripes, not the stripes and stars. And I thought, good point. So I've drawn the flag backwards so that when you read left to right, as we tend to in English, you have the stripes coming first. And I've drawn them really broad, so there's only room for 3 on the flag. So you've got whose broad stripes and bright stars. And I've drawn stars with little sparkles around them to make them bright. Through the perilous fight. It's perilous, as you can see, because the flag has a rip down it. And this is a bad drawing on the back of an email, but I've tried to draw where the rip so that it looks kind of like knuckles on each side. So the rip reminds you that it's perilous, and these knuckles remind you that it's a fight. So, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Then we have another rectangle. Rectangle of the subject heading for the email at the twilight's last gleaming. Rectangle of the flag, and then rectangle. This is a pretty picture. We have a building. First part of the building is made of an oar. O'er the ramparts. See the ramparts? Oh, yeah. And what is that on the rampart? What's that tiny little thing? It's little bitty. You can tell time with it. It's a wee watch. O'er the ramparts we watched. Yeah, you got that. And then we have an ant. As you can see, the ant is wearing lipstick and a tiny green bikini. That's because she's not a guy ant, she's a gal ant. And her little antenna or antlers, I don't know what ants have, but whatever they have, instead of being straight, they're kind of streaming. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And what are they streaming into? Well, she's got a couple of antlers. First antler is into some rockets. They are glaring red, as you would expect. And the rockets red glare. And next antler is the bombs bursting in air. And I've given the bomb a red fuse to kind of visually tie it to the rockets a little bit. And then to show that it's bursting in air, I've drawn these arrows coming out from it. And in the same color as the arrows, one of the arrows, because an arrow's kind of angular, one of the arrows becomes this proof sign. Sorry, not a proof sign, a square root sign. That reminded me of a mathematical proof. And the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night. So we have a crescent there for the night, and I drew it blue to remind us of night. And I want to point out I just pronounced something incorrectly. I said the bombs bursting in air. That's because I've lived in England for most of my life. It's bombs bursting in air, not bursting. Bursting. The bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that that our flag was still there. So gave proof through the night that our flag. And I started off drawing a still, like the kind you make moonshine with, and then I thought, actually, it's easier just to show very still hair. It's not wild and curly, mad hair like mine. It's still hair. That our flag was still there. Tying that to the next image. Next image has the same kind of hairstyle. But this is a square dancer doing a do-si-do. That's where you cross your arms and kind of prance about whoever you're dancing with. And the do-si-do is to remind you of oh say does. Oh say does, do-si-do. That our flag was still there. Oh say does. It's two do-si-dos. I've got two people doing it. Second one's wearing a hat. Oh, say does hat. You've got a star-spangled banner that then starts to wave. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave. I've just messed it up again. It's not a banner. It's a banner. Sorry. Once again, I'm doing one of these after 11 at night when I really should have learned. You pronounce the R the same as you would in our beloved alto Mary Ferry's name. It's just a gentle You don't hang on to it. A lot of British people, when you try to do an American accent, you lean on that R really hard, and you sound like Dick Van Dyke's voice coach, or like you're a stroke victim. It's not the Star-Spangled Banner. It's just the Star-Spangled Banner. Same as you'd say Mary Ferry, not Mary Ferry. That's if you're pronouncing it English style, not Scottish style. Mary Ferry, I apologize. I'm going to pretend I didn't say any of that. Okay, let's go back to the do-si-do. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave. By the way, Mary Ferry, if you think that was offensive to Scots, just wait to what I'm about to do to Americans. Wave. And what's that banner waving onto and curling around? An oar. O'er the land of the free. Okay, I've got a hand, and that's supposed to be an arm. I just drew it really badly. An arm with a dollar sign that's crossed out. So the hand of the free is the land of the free. For the land of the free. Now, for the home of the brave, now you can have a brave, like an American Indian, be called an Indian brave. And for the home of the brave, I've tried to make it memorable by making it Liberace. So it's the home of the brave. For the land of the free and the home of the brave. I personally think I know it's just a pigeon feather, but I think it fits in really well with the outfit. So, let's run through this from the start. Oh, say this. I might be changing pitch as we go, folks. Just forgive me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch was so gallantly streaming. Oh, we've got to change keys. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave? I'm sure that didn't offend anybody. Now, I would also like to talk just a little bit about American pronunciation. And, I should have found my file a minute earlier. Hang on, folks. Hang on. Name USA. Okay, you can watch me typing this. Name USA. Oh, there we go. US Anthem file. See, it's opening now. Thanks. Sorry about this, folks. Okay, some of the stuff I want to point out is, as I mentioned, the letter R. This comes up in early light. It's not early light, it's early. Actually, let me just run through it speaking it. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Now, I wasn't doing that to the exact rhythm. Let me see what I made. Okay, when you say oh, as in, oh, say can you see, Americans tend to speak from a little further back in the throat. So instead of oh, which is more in the mouth and towards the lips, just behind the teeth, it's way back in the throat. So relax your jaw and lips and say, oh. You can almost say it with just the back of your tongue and your throat, oh, without using your lips at all. By the dawn's early light, it's not dawn, it's dawn, D-O-N. kind of like the dawn at a university. Dawn. And as I mentioned before, Donzerly is kind of said like one word. Another where I thought there might be trip-ups, proudly. Americans will say proudly. It's very much an ow sound, like ow, I hurt myself. It is not an ah sound. It's not kind of an Essex or South London. It's not proudly. Proudly. What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last, and this is last, not Lost is a TV show box set, or when you can't find where you're going. It's not the last gleaming, it's at the last gleaming. Broad, who's broad stripes? It's odd, like strange. Broad, not broad. It's not an O, you don't pronounce the O and the A, broad. It's just broad. For the, hang on, I'm looking through for the other notes I made. The R is the same as the way you pronounce the R in merry, fairy, perilous, brave. It's not exaggerated. If you try to do what you think is an American R and say the land of the brave, you will just sound like there's something wrong with you to Americans. So, words I noticed, it's stars, not stars. Ramparts, not rampots. A pot is something you keep something in. This is a rampart. Were, not were. Glare, not glare. Bursting, not bursting. Air. This is one that's hard for me, having been in England so long. It's not air, it's air. And it's hour, not hour, hour. And there, not there. Also the word land at the end, when you, just before we get into Liberace. Land rhymes with hand. So, okay, I'm going to do this best American accent one more time through quickly. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Simples! See you later, folks.